Hello everyone, I'm Sue Jankowski. This is PHTV4 and you're watching Spotlight. Today the spotlight is on Pathlights, an organization dedicated to assisting individuals over 60 with services needed to live with independence and dignity in their community. And we have two guests with us today. We have Elaine Grandy, Director of Pathlights. Thanks for coming in, Elaine.
Thank you, Sue, for having us with you today.
It's a pleasure. And also we have Christine Sudreth, Community Relations Manager. Christine, thanks for coming in too.
Thank you.
So we have two people who are going to give us some great information about Pathlights, and that's right here in our community. And they're going to tell us exactly what's going on over there. I guess, first of all, it's always nice to get to know our guests a little bit. So we'll start with Elaine. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Elaine Grandy, and I have been with Pathlights now for 24 years. I first learned about them from a friend who had worked there, and I was immediately inspired and intrigued about the work they do serving the older adults in the community. So fast forward a couple of years and there I am in a part-time position working in their housing program. And it really shows, I learned working throughout the organization in various roles and responsibilities. I learned just how important the work is and how much we can really make a difference in people's lives. Life can be challenging for many people at many different stages. So there's ways that we can support each other and help each other. It really means a lot. So there I am 24 years later, and still growing, and it's really been a privilege.
Well, that's wonderful, and that is a wonderful thing to have an outreach program that people as they're aging can look to for some assistance and help. Christine, what about you?
I started at Pathlights in 2011, and I have a background in education and in public relations. So I started with community relations and outreach, really developed ways to get out into the community by interacting more with professionals, finding out what they do. But in doing that and being able to talk to them, I was able to find out more of the needs that our community was looking for in terms of education and for contacts within the aging network. So we've been able to put together through the years a very robust educational programming department, and we get out in the community and we teach people. We help them find the answers to basic questions that they may not have a way to access otherwise. So it's been a great, as Elaine says, it's a great privilege to work for Pathlights, and it's educational for us as well as for those that we're serving.
It's really wonderful to have a place where you can get a question answered, and if you don't know the answer, you can help someone find the answers. And I think that can be very frustrating as you're getting older. Sometimes I just don't know what to do, and having a hand to reach out to, it's got to be just a wonderful thing. Okay, so you were talking about the community and some types of services, but let's be more specific. Elaine, what kinds of services would be available to our community? So
at Pathlights, our mission is to inform, support, and empower people so they can live as independently as they wish in the home of their choice. So we really provide people with resources and access to services, but as you indicated, we help them navigate and figure out. Sometimes people don't even know what their needs are. It's just, I'm struggling, I'm finding this challenging, I'm not sure what I can do. So we really focus on helping people and helping them identify their needs and working through the options that are available for them. It could be home delivered meals, it could be in-home services, non-medical supports that someone can come into your home and support you for a few hours a week, a few hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week, for non-medical assistance in the home. It could be you need help navigating housing options. Very complicated process.
Right.
Just knowing what's available and how long it takes to get something, and what if I'm looking for something in the future, what should I be doing now? Some people like to plan and prepare out. So Medicare, navigating Medicare and all the complicated options there. So people call with a variety of questions, and then we are able to support and guide them, and then they can make informed decisions on what's best for them. It could also be help with benefits applications and a variety of other programs. We are also a caregiver resource centre. So as you know, many people are unpaid caregivers, caring for their friends, neighbours, families, loved ones. And it's such a vital part of our society, unpaid caregiving, but what's really important is that the caregiver also takes care of themselves, because without them, their loved one will be struggling without their care. So we have a caregiver support program, which can include support groups, respite services. So if the caregiver needs to take some well-timed, deserved time off or a break, there is a respite available for someone to be with their loved one if they can't be left alone. Stress relief programs. We also have a grandparents raising grandchildren program. So that's for people that find themselves raising a family for the second time.
Right.
So
that happens
yeah,
often.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So lots of programs. So always we encourage people to call, go to our website, or just pick up the phone and we'll take it from there. We have very experienced staff who are very, very familiar with the options, and if we don't know, as you said, we'll help find out.
And I think it's important too for our viewers to know you don't have to have a certain idea. You need to call. Sometimes it's so confusing. How can I help my mother or grandmother or neighbor or whoever it is, friend? And you think, well, what do I do? So I think just calling someone who has the knowledge about different things you could do and open some options for you that you didn't ever dream of were possible, that would help everybody, really,
Right.
everybody
Certainly.
in that situation. That's a great thing. So I think maybe a phone call to you would be the way to get started sometimes.
Absolutely.
To seek, is there something that we can do to help alleviate some of the difficulties it can be to care for someone in their home. Okay, and then let's talk about the events that are coming up. And this one is so interesting to me. There's a symposium on September 25th called the Age Well Symposium. And I think, we think about aging, and the older we get, the more we start thinking about it. You never think about it really as a reality for yourself until that starts to happen, and you're thinking, oh, how can I do better for myself? How can I be healthier? How can I take care of myself and my friend, husband, whoever? So I'm taking it that this symposium will have topics like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We do have two professional presenters for the day. We have Colleen Say-Beckvar, who is a gerontologist, and she is also a certified case manager. And we have Dr. Lydia Manning. She is a social gerontologist. So between the two of them, they're going to tackle the topic of ageism, and they're going to talk about self-care and the importance of re-engaging in community. So our goal is to make sure that people understand that ageism, as we see it maybe in certain media, especially I see it in a lot of commercials. You'll turn that on and you'll see somebody who's older walking with a walker. That's not aging. That is somebody who had difficulties aging and is using a support to best age for themselves, because refusing to use that device will inhibit them from engaging socially. But they're going to talk about ways we can combat that within our communities by getting engaged through volunteering, by going to social groups, by going to the park district and engaging in physical activities and making sure that they're out and about in the community. They're also going to talk about healthy ways to interact with other people and the importance of getting out into the community and socializing, as well as giving back. So in the magazine that we put out annually, The Journey, we talked about this Age Well Symposium, and we put in articles that related to the topic. So one of our articles is about 3 I would call them almost two at least are super agers. And we all three people though were looking at retirement and trying to move forward from there in a positive manner. So for instance, at 90 years old, Virginia Roble retired, but then took on secondary role and runs a food pantry, and she's now helping to put together the Evergreen Park Historical Society. And as Elaine said, this is our 50th anniversary. Virginia was actually on the grassroots committee that came together to help identify community needs for older adults and put together this panel. So when I was talking to her, I dropped off copies of the magazine to her, and what she told me was that what she did in order to get our agency up and running taught her how to get other entities up and running. So she started the Senior Citizen Commission in Evergreen Park, and then went on to help found the food pantry when we had the recession in 1981 and found there was a need. And now, as I said, she's working with they have a large active senior group there, but she's also working with the Historical Society, because our history, which is what our older adults bring to us, is as important as looking ahead to the future, because we have to build upon a solid foundation. So this Age Well Symposium is really going to empower older adults and caregivers who are there with older adults potentially to look at aging differently. It's not the end of something. Retirement can be the beginning of a whole new thing. Those things that you put aside, raising a family or working on a job where you traveled a lot, you now have time to access those. Don't sit in your recliner with a remote if you can get up and out of the house. And if you can't get up and out of the house, we can talk later about some ways that you can still engage in your community.
You know, that is really important to not sit alone, or even with a partner or whoever, and just sit there and wonder, well, what are we going to do, or what do I do next, or you don't feel like an active, vital member anymore. You're just kind of there, and I remember my mother saying things like, "Why am I here?" And that's sad, because she couldn't maybe do a few things that she wanted to do, even though she was doing, other things. But it's that "why am I here" thing. Well, you're here to help others, and doing that volunteer work is really a good thing.
Yeah.
So,
and maintaining your physical activity as much as possible. So our third presenter for that day will be Leanne Jakowiak, who is local to Payless and is going to lead a chair yoga session. But chair yoga itself, and many of the other activities that are offered for any age, those can be adapted to whatever your abilities are. We don't want to talk about limitations. I can't do that because I can't bend forward and touch my toes. I don't have the balance. You may not have balance to stand independently, but you can use a support to stand and do some of the moves. So we're bringing Leanne in because she's going to give that positive spin. It's not a spin. It's the positivity of engaging physically as well as socially in your community.
that is really great. So if someone wanted to go there, I'm sure they maybe have to call, register, do something, or do they just come?
The Age Well Symposium is our gift back to the community for 50 years. So we are asking people to register. There is a QR code on the flyers that we have. You can check out our website, which make sure you put the .org on the end, pathlights.org. And there is a QR code or a registration link on our website because you will be able to choose a lunch. We'll be providing that as well. And if you're not able to access us through technology, then go ahead and pick up the phone, use our phone number and give us a call. We'll tell you about the lunch options and we'll give you the information for that day.
So the important thing is just go to this. This sounds like really interesting.
Absolutely.
And really like motivational, and giving people that little bit of snap to go ahead and do. What do I do? You do this and you get started. That sounds really great.
Absolutely.
That is September 25th, which actually isn't that far away when you think
No,
about
it's
it.
not.
It's
Time
really
flies.
not. And I bet you have been planning this for a long
Yes.
time.
We have.
Yeah.
We have.
Probably a year.
Yeah.
But it's important to us. We want to empower people if we can.
Yes, and it's at the DoubleTree. which is in Alsip,
Yes.
right on 127th Street.
And
not too far away.
127th will be open from Cicero, but we will make people aware of any changes to that.
Okay.
It is accessible.
Okay, it's been a long time since that.
Yeah, well, there's a sign at the end of the road that says "Do not enter."
Don't keep
Enter
going.
on Cicero, and you can get in there.
That sounds great. Okay, so I'm just curious too. This magazine, The Journey, sounds really interesting for people to read. How would they go about getting that?
They can contact us at the office. It also is out in many municipal areas. We put them in the park districts, the libraries. We put them at the village halls for many of the communities. We tried to get them where older adults or caregivers may pick them up and take them home.
Okay. I mean, because a lot of people come into City Hall right here that they're paying their water bill or getting their sticker or whatever, so it's just there. For the library, that's really great. Okay, so I think the statistics here are really interesting. So I know the population is living longer than it used to, but in 1900, only 4% of the population was over 65 years old. And today, 17% of the population is over 65. That's amazing. And in 1900, you're going to live to be 40. Today, it's 79. So that really, yes, it's a while back, but still, I mean, we're gaining so much, and all the time you're seeing people, you see these things on TV where this woman, 100 years old, does Pilates and she's running, and you're like, well, look at that. Things are changing a lot. So I guess, too, we're talking about health span, quality of life, not just how long you live, but you want to live the best life you can.
For
and
sure.
that means, being healthy, the big adage, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And really you want to live healthy, and you want a nice quality of life. So how do we extend that quality of life as we go along in life?
So, health span really is, the number of years where we can live in good physical, mental, emotional, and social health. So we want to make sure that we live longer, but we have, we're active, we're independent, and we're engaged. So how do we do that? And luckily, they're all not difficult things to do.
Oh,
so
that's always good.
You just have to have the commitment and the willingness to do it. So staying active, as we mentioned, light exercise, walking, chair yoga. Not only does it elevate your mood, but it promotes good mobility and balance, and gives you strength. Balanced diet. We all know the value of balanced diet and healthy eating. Very, very important for longevity, but also to elevate your energy and boost your immunity and function, so that you are strong and less inclined to succumb to coughs and colds and flus and all that kind of stuff.
Things, yes.
Staying connected is so important, as you've both mentioned. They're saying being socially isolated and lonely is more damaging than smoking. So we all need a sense of purpose, and just staying involved and connected is critical as we age. It's actually more important, when we're living busy lives, raising families, working. Sometimes we want that alone time.
That's true.
But as we age, it can be detrimental.
Okay.
So it's so important to stay connected, however that is, however you do that. The other thing we can do, make sure you see your doctor, make sure you're in contact with your health providers, catch any things early in case there's things developing. I know doctor visits can take over, but see them as a social outlet too, it's a chance to engage. Challenge your mind. You have to stay stimulated for your cognitive health, and also just for your general sense of purpose and mood. Maybe you can build a new make a new relationship, develop a new skill, find a new interest. We see it all the time, as you mentioned, people later in life taking on new challenges and exploring possibilities that maybe they thought, it's new beginnings, different, just a new chapter. And adapt a positive mindset about aging, because it's not about decline, it's about adaptation and exploration, really,
That sounds good. I guess here we mentioned intergenerational connections, which would be being with everyone of every age. I think sometimes when older people are only with older people, that's great on one hand because, it's a friend and that's good. But I think it's also good to be with children, be with teenagers, be with 20s and 30s. I mean, just the community at large, and have that intergenerational connection.
Yeah, absolutely. It is important because we want the younger generation to respect older adults. How do you do that? You mix and mingle. So it's important to get out there. The older adults in the community are not often seen as the safety net, but when you think about it, if there are issues going on in your community, who are the first to know? The people who are retired and sitting on their porch in the morning having their cup of coffee. They get to relax and do that while we're rushing around checking it down.
True. Yep.
But take time to walk over. Allow your young children to walk over and interact with the older adult. And if the older adult starts to come towards you to have a conversation, take it on. Also, I would encourage older adults to get involved in things like the Cook County Forest Preserve. If you are worried about the fact that you don't think you can hike through this Payless Trail or that Payless Trail, head over to the Little Red Schoolhouse. They have adapted their entryway, the entrance to the building. They have classes in there, but then you can go further on the walks through nature, which has been shown to definitely improve mental health and physical health because they have adapted the trails. So it's all access over there. And multiple times through the year, they will have activities that incorporate that.
I was just going to say, that's the kind of thing where someone could call you with a question like, I'd like to take my mother or myself or whatever out on and be in nature, but I don't know where to go. That's the kind of question you could answer that, maybe I wouldn't know that that's an adapted kind of trail that, I could get on.
The nice thing I think about our staff too is when we get a question, if we got a question like that, if the person answering through the intake line doesn't have an answer, they will send out an email to our staff. And our staff knows that they're answering this with the mindset of somebody who may have certain requirements to engaging in an activity or needing something. And they, because of the work that we do, they're able to come to that level and answer it that very specifically. Or if we don't know, we send out an email to our extended network, which is how we engaged the presenters for this Age Well Symposium. Because we sent out the emails, we talked to people, we found out what people do, but 9 times out of 10, we will find an answer for that. And it's just fun for us to do that too, because we're like, hey, there's something new in the community.
Exactly, that you didn't know about, now you do, yeah.
And the chambers are a great place to get involved. A lot of people think about chambers of commerce for businesses, but there are opportunities for us all to get involved and attend the activities. There's nothing worse than putting together an activity and people don't show up. And we see so many of our municipalities and chambers trying so hard to get people out and engaged. And if you're not going because you're looking for specific things, give them a call and say, hey, do you realize you're not offering something for a certain population, for grandparents with grandchildren, for this or that? What can we do together to get something up and running?
That's a good thing. You can make a suggestion, and then they might welcome that suggestion because they're trying to engage the community. And if they knew what direction they should go, that would help.
And then again, as an older adult, when you're giving these suggestions, it's an opportunity for them to have a greater understanding of the knowledge that the older adults impart and the activities that they're looking for and willing to participate in, but also for that person to go back and say, hey, I went to this group and I talked about this and we're going to have a community event. You come with me. They'll bring their friends in as well. So all of the activities can grow.
That sounds, really great. Is there any other avenue of exploration of what Pathlights offers for people that they might not think of that we didn't discuss? I want to be sure that they know that this is a very broad, that they can get help with dinners and meals in general, and looking for maybe a new place to live, but maybe not, maybe just being in their home.
Sure.
For the most part, I think most people want to be in their home, and so making it possible is something you can help them with.
Right, and we have programs, as Christine indicated earlier, about falls prevention or incontinence, or how to make sure your will and trusts and everything are in order. So we've a lot of educational programs out there in the community. So call us if you have access online, look it up. We have tremendous programs out there for people to learn, and we're always looking for opportunities. What do people want to know? We want to hear from you. If you think there's something that, this is really valuable and people aren't aware of this, let's talk about it. Another big thing we try to educate on, and it's a very, very complicated topic, is scams and frauds.
Yes.
It's so fast moving. We're trying to stay on top of it every day. There's a new one. It's not our area of jurisdiction to investigate, because we do investigate abuse, neglect, and exploitation of older adults. But scams and frauds are not our jurisdiction, but we're always trying to communicate with people on building awareness and tips and tools and what not to say, and answers, so that you're not caught in this situation. So
yeah, it's always good to hear more information.
Yeah.
We had Detective Moritz come in last week, and he talked specifically about the scams that are going on right now. But there's always a new scam, there's always a new thing, and we asked viewers of any age to call the police department if you think you're being scammed or you're worried about it. But also, if you have another outlet, you can call Pathlights too, and they'll refer you probably to the police station, because that is very hard for people to discern what is a scam and what is real. And we said anything that seems,
yes,
you have this feeling.
yeah,
Go with that feeling. That's probably not right. I always worry about too, people, because of maybe hearing or eyesight issues, someone comes to your door, and I'm always worried about someone opening the door to an unknown person. And I think that's something that, just don't do that. No, nowadays people always call you when they're coming. Hey, are you going to be home? I'm going to stop by. So that's another matter of concern. Well, this sounds like such a great opportunity for our entire community, and well out into many communities, to go to Pathlights, call them up if you have a question. There's no question that is too trivial to ask. I have learned that through the years. If you have that question, probably someone else does too. So just ask, and your hand can reach out, and they'll hold on to your hand for a minute and let you know some of the facts that you want to know. And if they don't know, they'll get back to you. Don't forget about September 25th at the Doubletree for the Age Well Symposium. That sounds wonderful. Elaine and Christine, thank you so much for coming in today. This has been just so interesting and so important for all the community, really. Everybody
you,
over 65.
Yeah. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for watching us on Spotlight about Pathlights. I'm Sue Jankowski. See you next time.